This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football, and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of Daily English Premier League here by GSPN. My name is Michał Czarniecki. Coming to you live from California. I'm joined by Louie Easton, of course, our member of the Daily English Premier League. Liverpool fan. Very good to have you here.
It's very, very good to be here, by the way.
Absolutely. And we're going to get to that in a second because, oh my, not everyone is happy because of that result. And then we have, which brings me to Victor, the Chicago-based Man United fan. Two Man United fans versus one Liverpool fan. That should be one heck of a episode today. I really can't wait.
Not as good as Louis, but yeah.
I don't feel very outnumbered at the moment. This feels great, honestly. Talking about the Champions League with two Man United fans in 2025 is a wonderful thing to do, and it will be my pleasure throughout the episode.
Yeah, of course, and we do not really blame you. I mean, if you've got
Michal,
your successful team, then it's.
I told you don't invite him.
Well, we need to have some insight because there's one reason. Okay, the one reason why I invited Louis to join our review for Daily English Premier League is not because I'm a masochist. It's because I really would like to understand what on earth happened at Parc des Princes last night, because I have never seen a Liverpool in such. I wouldn't say disarray, like so defensive this season. That was something that I just couldn't believe my very own eyes. And the fact that you guys scored that winner out of one moment of brilliance, of course, kudos to Elliot. But I really think the final score should say PSG 0, Alisson Becker 1.
Yes, I mean he has been. That he said after the game that it's the match of his life as well, and when you watch the game back, you will absolutely understand that because he was a brick wall in that goal. He made so many important saves. I think they had 10 shots on goal, right, not counting block shots. I mean, 10 shots that he was tested, and he didn't let anything past. And not just his reflexes and his athleticism, but also the ability to think in milliseconds. There was one moment where the ball was fizzed across goal. It was going in, and he scooped it away from two PSG shirts while on the ground, whilst preventing it from going into the back of the net from a shot. I mean, that's how experienced he is. That's how well trained he is, and that's how unbelievable he is as a goalkeeper. I mean, people often talk about the best goalkeeper in the world being Emi Martinez. I mean, if Alisson wasn't injured so often, and we're just talking about ability, not just all things included, ability in the back of the net, Alisson destroys Emi Martinez for me. And I think there's a bit of World Cup bias there as well, but I won't go into that debate too much because for me, it's just not a debate. And also, you talk about Elliot being the genius in that goal. Darwin Nunez made that goal. And, you know, in recent weeks, I myself have been very critical of Darwin Nunez, saying that he needs to leave this summer. He probably does. But when he makes these moments happen, and when he changes the game, and he genuinely did when he came on for Jota, it kind of makes you have a little bit of doubt wanting to get rid of Darwin Nunez. I've seen Fabrizio Romano say that he is going to leave this summer, and you know, when Fabrizio Romano says it, it's probably going to happen. But he was such a pain in the neck for those PSG defenders because he was sprinting at them, and there wasn't a player on the pitch working harder than Darwin Nunez when he came on, because he was back in the box to make blocks, and then when it was a counter-attack, he was straight onto it. Alisson Becker, Virgil van Dijk making those clearances up the pitch, he would be in Marquinhos' face for every ball. And it was him that got the assist, and it was him that had the decision-making at a critical time to set up Harvey Elliott's goal. And it was smash and grab. It was our only shot on goal the entire game. And it came in the 87th minute when Harvey Elliott had been on the pitch for 47 seconds.
Right.
His very first touch after Salah came off after having a horrible game. But that's football. That's the beauty of it. That's what we, as fans, watch the game for. These are the moments that us fans watch the game for. It's something that will be remembered. And also, Liverpool's first win in France in competitive football since 2008.
Crazy.
And Solskjaer's won it. Anyway, sorry. Victor, I would like... yeah. But where I was born. Never mind. Victor, so on the back of what Louie just said there about how memorable this match will be for Liverpool fans because of the fact that after such a horrible display throughout first 80, 85, 56 minutes, first 86, of course, overall, almost the entire game, Elliott to grab this winner, unbelievable feeling. But I want to talk about the statistics with you, Victor, a little bit about that, because 28 total attempts by PSG, 9 on target, 8 off target, 84 attacks.
On 9.
Yeah, 9. Did I say something? Yeah, 9 attempts on target, 8 off target, sorry. Then 84 attacks, 3 clear chances. I'm only talking about PSG stats. They were absolutely dominating the game. So how on earth Paris Saint-Germain did not get a goal that would actually count? I'm not talking about the
honestly,
goal by Kvaratskhelia.
I think we had high expectations on Liverpool just because of how their season is going. But we forget one thing. PSG has been undefeated for 22 games. They picked up their form in the second part of the season. So I'm not surprised that the game went this way, except for the win. I honestly expected that PSG is going to win this first game, and then Liverpool's going to win the second one. It's going to be really good game, obviously, in both cities.
Right.
But there is something about Liverpool not playing today because I feel like they're used to playing twice a week, and this week that they had like a gap, it took him forever to get going, and they never really got going. It was just like that one goal that happened, and that's it. And now they know where they stand. Like they have to pick up their game in the second game for sure.
I think there are loads of different factors, but sorry to interrupt you, Victor. There are loads of different factors to consider, but I also wasn't expecting this from PSG because they have been yet to play a proper powerhouse this season. I mean, they've had 22 games undefeated, but they haven't been properly tested, and they showed class. They showed a lot of class, but we have to give credit to Liverpool's defense as well. I mean, we talk about Alisson, but Van Dijk didn't really put much of a foot wrong. I know he got himself booked, but that was for time wasting, which wasn't even time wasting. And credit to Alexander-Arnold. He's been under the magnifying glass a lot this season for his defending, but he was terrific in one-on-one situations.
Louis, there's one thing about English teams. Every time they play against like a top team from like Europe, they feel inferior. And every time they play away. And I feel like that's the same. That comes the same with the English national team. That's why England has only won the World Cup once.
Also the managers, but yeah.
Every time you play a big team in Europe, either Bayern or Barcelona or Real Madrid, no matter how big of a form the English team is in, they'll struggle. And that proved again today. So.
You know what? Sorry, Louis. I'm sorry. I just have to ask one question about what you said there about a solid performance by Liverpool defense. Just objectively speaking, the second you said that, I recalled that one chance by PSG, which was created only because of bad covering on the left side of the pitch, very close to the penalty box, and with Alisson Becker making 2 terrific saves, and with the third attempt going wide. That I do not think that was a display of defensive.
That was crazy. And there was you talking
was
about the one in the first half where there was Barcola. That was crazy. That was I thought that came off the right hand side. No, that was but that's one of those moments where you can't really plan for it because it was genuinely just pinball and I think it was, Alisson took a gamble and came off his line, and it was just completely unplanned, and it would be harsh to criticize the tactical. I meant tactically we were brilliant in defense, but in that situation, PSG were very unlucky not to score. There was also the disallowed goal that you alluded to earlier, where Kvaratskhelia, well, I can't remember if it was Kvaratskhelia that got the ball or not. It might have been Dembele, but it was like a heel in it. And then there was also that moment with Konate doing the nudge in the box as well. So there were many bits of fortune that went our way, but the parts where you can't really blame it on fortune, where we were just organized and we were just covering, and Diaz and Salah at times were playing in that sort of holding midfield role. I think it was just us parking the bus, and you can say what you want about certain moments in the match, but at the end of the day, we kept a clean sheet against one of the most threatening sides in Europe. And you can make the excuses that you want, but you have to give credit to Liverpool in a lot of moments in the match. I mean, not to mention Alisson just being insane.
For Liverpool.
I think so as well.
At the right time, because this is the end of the season where you have to show.
Yeah, and also we have Southampton on the weekend. That could so easily be a banana skin, because we just go from playing PSG, and I mean, I suppose what you could say is we weren't running a lot because we were just jockeying majority of the game. So we might have some fresh legs going into the Southampton game, especially since it is at home at Anfield. But I just don't want us to underestimate them, because they will be parking the bus as well. They've got... I mean, I just did a recording with the Southampton boys on Daily Liverpool, which will be released on Friday on the Daily Liverpool podcast, and also it will already be out on the Daily Southampton. So just a little plug there. But we did talk about the Southampton defense, where they just do this strange man marking, and they'll leave one centre back, and if that's Salah versus someone like Joe Aribo, who played at centre back against Chelsea, then that could be dangerous. So I just don't want us to underestimate Southampton on the weekend, but this is getting into the crucial stages of all competitions at the moment. We've also got a League Cup final to look forward to as well. Sure. So there's a lot going on at Liverpool at the moment, and it's good thing that we got that break.
I think Slot's going to mix up things for Southampton. I'm calling it at least 5 changes from today's team against Southampton.
He doesn't often do that many changes.
Yeah. Salah will play, I think, but there will be changes, I think.
He's like an anti-Pep.
Right. We will talk about the future, though. But before that, let's get into a little bit break. And after that, I really would love to hear your predictions about the second leg at Anfield. But for now, let's hear about the supplements, the greatest supplements to have ever graced the face of this earth, which is Bioniq. Take it away.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalized supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Thank you, Bioniq, for sponsoring our podcast. You're listening to Daily English Premier League, provided to you by Global Sports Podcast Network. Just like I promised before the break, we will discuss your predictions for the second leg. But just before that, let's just have a brief mention of what happened with the other English teams in the knockout phase in the round of 16 of Champions League. In the first game, Aston Villa traveling to Belgium, taking on Club Brugge and defeating them with 3-1. Solid performance by the boys of Unai Emery. Also in the Netherlands, Arsenal traveled to PSV, to Eindhoven, and won with a staggering 7-1. Boys, how do you like the chances of English teams faring so far, faring in Champions League so far?
The thing is with Arsenal, if they once they advance, I think we can say once now, because the return fixture is at home, and they're 6 goals to the good against PSV, who looked so inferior to Arsenal. Let's just say that.
Absolutely.
So, but the thing is, once they go through, they've got to face the winner of Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, and I would not fancy either of those teams, especially without Bukayo Saka at the moment for Arsenal. So I fear for them. They've had a weird run of form recently in the Premier League. I think they want to focus on the Champions League, but it would take a miracle to beat Real Madrid, especially with the little Champions League experience they've had in recent years. I can't think of a time where Arsenal have really shocked the world in Europe in recent years. So, but credit to them for their 7-1, and also credit to Aston Villa for picking up the win in Belgium, because they had a weird trip there last time out when they went to Belgium. That weird sort of penalty given away where there was the handball over the confusion of the goal kick. They recovered from that. I think that was a pretty low bar, however.
Absolutely. And Victor, what could happen is that if Club Brugge fails to make a miraculous comeback during that second leg hosted by Villa, and if Liverpool manages to go past PSG after that second leg at Anfield, we will be set for an English quarterfinal. So, in the worst case scenario, we're looking at just one English team surviving through to the semifinals. How is that looking for you, Victor?
I think already like Liverpool, Aston Villa, Arsenal, they'll go to the quarterfinals, and I can just see Ollie Watkins celebrating at Anfield.
Is that delusion speaking as a Man United fan with your rivalry?
I'm sorry, Louie, but you have to admit that Marcus Rashford has been absolutely phenomenal ever since he joined the Aston Villa. So
he has been. He has been absolutely
phenomenal. It's just better than usual.
Come on, Victor. Oh, come on.
No, he
man.
has been good, Victor. When he played against us, I know he didn't get any goal contributions, but I was worried because he loves that left-hand side, and he hasn't, over the recent years at Manchester United, he's been played in different positions by different managers, but he's never really found form in a long time. And now that he's getting this new chance at Unai Emery, away from what seems like a bit of a toxic atmosphere at Carrington and Old Trafford at the moment, it's rejuvenating, and it's really refreshing to see him performing. And it's not just him; it's Asensio as well.
And their link up too. Their link up is phenomenal.
It's brilliant. And we really struggled against Aston Villa when we went to Villa Park recently, and they will definitely be a challenge for Liverpool. But Champions League nights at Anfield are really special, and we hear all of the managers talk about it, all the greatest managers ever. However, the return leg would be at Villa Park. That is an advantage to Villa, and I can imagine their fans would be well up for that, especially in this stage of the competition. And we saw what happened to Bayern Munich when they went to Villa Park in the first match back in the Champions League for Aston Villa. They folded. But, anything can happen in the Champions League. I don't like making predictions, but it's fair to say Liverpool look to be the favourites out of the Champions League teams.
Yeah, I can see Liverpool going semi-final for sure.
So,
Watkins, but
talking about the predictions, second leg at Anfield, Liverpool taking on PSG. To be honest, for me personally, I think that if somebody wants to already underestimate the power of PSG and their attacking prowess because of the 12th, or because of the 12th player being present, which would be the Anfield Wolves, I think it's absolutely delusional, because they will be attacking, especially now that they are behind. So the question to you, Louis, is how do you stop this French machine from punishing you?
It's a good question, and it's really difficult to say, because we went completely defensive and played on the counter-attack, and it shouldn't have worked. We scraped a 1-0 win. But I just think at Anfield, on a European night, when the fans are up for it, there is nothing to be done about the tactics. They go out the window, and Liverpool just pile players forward, and it's so overwhelming for the opposition. I mean, we saw what happened to Barcelona. That was the last time since this season. Other than this season, that was the last time that they were really feared. They had Suarez, Messi, Coutinho when he was good playing, and they completely crumbled after going 3-0 up at the Camp Nou. PSG are already down on aggregate, and this is a Liverpool team that are back in the Champions League this season, dreaming of going for all 3 that they have left. They have already got almost feeling like an unassailable lead in the Premier League, and now it feels like this is the last thing for them to conquer. And I think it will not be a matter of tactics. It will just be a matter of how PSG can weather the atmosphere, because it is a cauldron. And we saw what happened to Real Madrid this season and Bayer Leverkusen this season under Arne Slot as well. I think this is quite an inexperienced PSG squad by their standards of recent years as well, because Zaire Emery and Barcola coming through, they haven't gone toe-to-toe with European giants yet, and this will be a massive test for them. And this feels like a new Ousmane Dembele as well, because the luck he was having and Kvaratskhelia were having in this game were amazing. And this is a PSG team that should be feared, regardless of the atmosphere, regardless of the situation, like you mentioned, Michal.
The PSG side will take on the same day that Liverpool takes on Southampton. They will face Stade Rennes in Ligue 1, the side which is currently 11th with 29 points. Out of in the last 5 games they had 1 defeat, but then again, like the difference of class between Stade Rennes and PSG is pretty remarkable. So that will be. Oh, and we're of course speaking about like the PSG team who are yet to lose. To actually suffer defeat at Ligue 1. So that could be a good preparation, of course, for as far as their attacking form is concerned, ahead of their trip to Anfield. So that would actually cover the Champions League. Let's move on to a far more important European league, Louis, which is the Europa League. The best competition in the world. Exactly.
And something you won't even be getting next season. Unless you win it.
Unless we win it. Yeah, we had it's kind of like blue pill is you go for FA Cup and you have a better chance of Europe there. Or the red pill, Europa League, with far more difficult opponents.
And you've gone for the red pill.
Of course, Matrix all the way. So with that being said, let's move on to previewing Real Sociedad taking on Manchester United in the first leg of round of 16 of Europa League. Which is just looking at the potential squad that Man United could start with today. We have still, like, for some reason, Ugarte is still being predicted as starting with Patrick Dorgu and Diogo Dalot. I mean, oh goodness! I mean, like that is just going to be a do or die, really. Like you either give everything you have right now, or you just take a bow and leave as soon as possible.
This is a brilliant Spanish side as well. I mean, Sociedad's we all know about Zubamendi because we were linked with him in the summer and we didn't manage to get him because he was loyal to this team. And Oyarzabal as well up front. You just look all over this team and you just find great system player, and they just work well as a team. They know each other, and the only thing you could say for them is they're missing Odriozola as well, who's a fantastic right back. And I'm looking at this Manchester United injury list at the moment, and I'm worried because, I mean, Harry Maguire probably won't play, and he has been one of Manchester United's better players this season. Kobe Mainu as well, as we mentioned, that midfield is struggling, and you kind of want more in your midfield than Eriksen and Casemiro, who both seem to be hitting their twilight years now. It's a worry for Manchester United, but, you know, when you have nothing else to give in the other competitions, you put it all on this, and that's your only chance of getting into Europe next season. If you go out against Real Sociedad, I think this will be the biggest failure in Manchester United's recent history.
I agree 100%. And with that being said, I think. Okay, is that enough? Trashing Man United, because you really want to move on to Tottenham.
I mean,
Because
I don't mind going for more. I'm more
yeah,
than
I
happy.
know, I know that this is what
You
you
take the
basically get off
executive
of.
decision, Michal. I mean, you've probably spoken about Manchester United more than any other team on GSPN, so
Yes.
I can imagine you wanting to move on.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for understanding, Louis. Let's move on to AZ Alkmaar taking on Tottenham, round of 16 of Europa League here. Well, the chances are looking like much better for Tottenham Hotspur, because they in the league phase, AZ Alkmaar met Tottenham Hotspur in the league phase of Europa League, and Spurs won 1-0. With that being said, some of the time has passed since that victory. So, question to you, Louis, is Tottenham really in the same position as Man United, or is it slightly better?
No, I think so. Obviously, there's less focus on Tottenham Hotspur just purely because of Manchester United's history in the Premier League and in Europe being far greater than Spurs is. And it kind of takes the focus off them. But Spurs, with the team they have, they should be doing a lot better. And Spurs fans will definitely want to forget this season if they don't get anything out of the Europa League, because this is a team they should be beating, AZ Alkmaar. I mean, we saw what happened when their North London rivals went to Holland recently, destroyed a team 7-1. I'm not saying Spurs need to be doing that, but they need to be getting a result, because this is meant to be the harder of the two legs, going to unfamiliar territory. And, I don't know the last time AZ Alkmaar played against an English team, just because it's not a team I often think about, and it's not a team I can name you a single player from. But their recruitment looks to be reinforced for the rest of the season, assuming there are no more injuries. I mean, Matthijs Tel, I really want to see a lot more from him, because he was terrific for Bayern last season. James Maddison actually going under the radar, getting 9 goals and 5 assists this season. And I still want to see a bit more from Danzo before I make my judgment on him. Their defense has been incredibly leaky, but it's understandable when you look at their injury list for this season. Archie Gray playing an entire season out of position at the age of 18 or whatever he is. Still missing Solanke, Van der Ven, Dragashan, Kulishevsky, Richarlison, Romero, Davies. It can only get better from Alkmaar. And I will take it back. There are actually 3 players I know looking at this Alkmaar team: Court Miners, Classy, and former Spurs Academy product Troy Parrott will be playing. So that's quite an interesting one. I'm glad I looked this up now. Sem Vesterveld, I'm wondering if that's related to Sander Vesterveld, formerly of Liverpool, because he plays in the same position. I need to look this up. Hold on.
Okay, so once we are on that, let me just take a look at the stats of Troy Parrott with his average mark being 7.19, and the last match with in Eredivisie away against Heerenveen, he did not have the best of performance at 6.0 out of 10, with AZ Alkmaar losing 3-1. But other than that, he's been pretty. Other than that one exception, he has been pretty solid with 7.0, 7.6, and 7.2. So I think that could be one big threat for Tottenham defense.
Sorry, I can confirm Sem Vesterveld is the son of Sander Vesterveld, formerly of Liverpool Football Club. There we go. See, we shouldn't underestimate these teams now. That's made this game so much more interesting. And he probably won't even play because he's on the bench all the season. Oh well.
Doesn't matter.
Sorry, can I just say, have you seen their manager's name? Martin Martins. Uncreative parenting. Let's move on.
It just for some reason I recall that story from one certain TV show. I think it was the Band of Brothers. I think the TV series when the guy was called Major, and then he was promoted to Major, so he was Major, and apparently that was a real story. It wasn't even made up.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Exactly so. And with that being said, let's move on to something which is perhaps not as amazing for as far as the attractiveness of football, but still, it is European Cup whatsoever. Nevertheless, rather, we're talking about Conference League round of 16 tie between FC Copenhagen and Chelsea. Chelsea, the team which has won all of their 6 league phase games. Of course, you wouldn't expect anything else because, for many of Chelsea fans, Conference League seems like a purgatory more than an opportunity to win some big money and big results and big accolades. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not biased here because the Conference League is the only European competition in which we have 2 Polish sides still in contest. Jagiellonia, Białystok, and Legia Warsaw. They are still on the race to Wrocław, Polish city, staging the 2025 Conference League final. Louis, question to you, because I hyped it enough before we started recording, but it's super important for me, and I think you will understand why. Once Chelsea goes through Copenhagen and Legia Warsaw goes through Molde, we will have ourselves the biggest treat that the GSPN could actually think of. It's going to be Legia Warsaw taking on Chelsea.
Biggest treat for you.
It's a beautiful treat.
It's a wonderful treat for you. Yes, listen. Polish people everywhere will rejoice, I'm sure, if they get to play a giant like Chelsea. However, do not underestimate Copenhagen. You, as Manchester United fans, should know that better than anyone else, because let's not forget what happened in the Champions League a couple of seasons ago. A certain Rooney Bargi, someone who I think will go on to great things. 19 years old, scoring against... I mean, it was a massive story at the time just because his name is Rooney, but he's someone that I've known about for a while because he's one of these sort of tricky right-wingers with a left foot. Perfect aesthetic. Born in Kuwait, representing Sweden at under 21 level. But he had a serious knee injury last year, which sidelined him for a long time. So I'm not sure about his injury situation going into this match.
Right.
Maybe that's a blessing for Chelsea if he doesn't play. But it will be a treat. And I'm looking at this Copenhagen side. There are a few players that you may know. One of them being Thomas Delaney, who has been playing for Denmark for years, and Mohamed El Yunusi, who used to play for Southampton and Celtic. He will be expected to play as well. So, I mean, there's plenty that could prevent you from getting your dream match, is what I'm saying. I don't want to be a downer, but let's not get carried away.
Exactly. I'm super excited because just on a separate note, I know this is Premier League. We have purely focused on English teams. Absolutely understand that. With that being said, I'm kind of stalling as Victor has gone offline, unfortunately, for some reason. I hope he'll be back. But I will just say this. In the Polish football club history, there has never been a situation in which we would have 2 Polish teams competing in the quarterfinals. This is what's at stake right now, because in the 21st century, the best result of a Polish club was Lech Poznań going on to the quarterfinal and being super close to basically turning the tie upside down against Fiorentina in the Conference League in the quarterfinal, but they just came up this much short, very little. And then Fiorentina went on to the final, which they lost to West Ham. So that's going to be huge. And, a lot of Polish experts said that the fact that Chelsea did not come to Warsaw or to Białystok was a big shame, because that would be the biggest draw for all of the fans, for advertisers, for the experts, for commentators. Everyone would come to Poland or, for example, to London with Polish club being involved there. That would be a great treat. But there is still a chance. And so... big times.
This is what the Conference League is about. We talk about the Champions League all the time, but we don't mention the great prospects that these teams from countries whose leagues don't make as much money, getting to have a proper go at these bigger sides. And I'm glad you brought this up, because there are so many people who were criticizing the Conference League before this all started. People were mocking West Ham fans for celebrating the Conference League, but if you think about it, when else are they going to get a chance at a major trophy, let alone a major European trophy? And that match against Fiorentina in the final was terrific as well. So, when you get these teams getting an opportunity, it may not seem a lot to us elitist fans, the ones that watch Champions League and Premier League, but to these teams that don't get too many opportunities, it's a proper competition and one where this is their Champions League essentially.
Exactly so. And besides, if among those fans who used to criticize Conference League, there are any Tottenham fans in the house, I don't know how to put this delicately. Can you help me
Arsenal
out, Victor?
fans?
Or Arsenal fans? Victor, could you please help me put it delicately?
I feel like this is better for like smaller countries. Like if you have a country like Macedonia, if they have a team in this competition, that's huge. Not just for the country, but for the whole region. So yeah, but
God,
again, Chelsea.
You're making me wish I had a little bit more, a little bit more of a ground to stand and talk about Eastern Europe, because I do. My mum's from Scotland.
Okay.
That's something for, I guess, Aberdeen. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh God, yeah, and I totally get what you're saying. That is a brilliant opportunity for Poland, for okay, maybe not for Czech Republic, because they tend to put at least one representative to the Champions
Victoria
League.
Plevnes, usually.
Exactly, yeah. Slavia, Sparta Prague, they are basically they get into some form of European competition every single season, so that's not that big for them. But for Polish football, my God, here's one more thing to wrap it up. Right now, Poland is one of the best countries as far as the coefficient ranking goes, as far as the growth goes. And right now, Poland,
Okay.
if somebody were to start counting the points to the coefficient only from the 2022-23 season, that season with Lech Poznań going through to the quarterfinals of the Conference League and on, Poland would be 8th in the UEFA coefficient ranking, which would give us, I think, 3 teams in Champions League, right? Or am I wrong?
2.
I don't know. I know nothing about that.
they'll-
Victor, help us.
They'll play qualifiers eventually.
Yeah, but they would start much later than they're starting
later,
now.
Yeah.
Because if you get into top 15 in the coefficient ranking of UEFA in the league coefficient, then you have 2 teams in Champions League qualifiers instead of just 1. So that would be huge, absolutely huge. And I think 5th team, like the higher you go.
Be for the highest, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
so
I wanted to mention to you, Michal.
Yes.
There's a Macedonian guy playing for Jagiellonia, so I'm rooting for the Polish teams too.
Oh, yes.
And going back
absolutely.
to the smaller things that I was mentioning, I'm looking at who's left in the Conference League. You have Borac Banja Luka, the Bosnian team. I don't remember when was the last time a Bosnian team was anywhere in Europe. Then you have the Slovenian teams. You have Pafos. Okay, Rapid we ain't been there before, but yeah, Molde again. Yeah, you have teams that are like, these are big things for their countries as well,
Absolutely.
not just for their teams.
Absolutely, 100%. And just to say, let's bring it full circle to Copenhagen Chelsea again, because the Macedonian player that Victor has just talked about is Darko Churlinov, the same guy who scored. Yes, and he is also the same guy who scored a winner at Parken against Copenhagen in the very first match day of Conference League phase.
How on earth have we made it to this link, by the way? I've lost track of what we're talking about.
Copenhagen Chelsea.
He played Louis. He played under Vincent Kompany at Burnley, but he got injured. He was a starter the first few games, and then he got injured. And after that,
I've heard of him.
Kompany didn't trust him after that. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, he just.
It's hard to get into Kompany's good books once he's done with you, I think, as well, isn't it?
Okay, guys, with that being said, I think that we are running slightly out of time, and we still have to thank one particular sponsor, and that's the one which helps us create this podcast, and which is Zencastr, best platform ever for creating such podcasts. But I do not think I'm qualified enough to talk about this, so here's Louie talking about that slightly more. And please don't be alarmed. This is just Louis' special skills that he can talk without even opening his mouth, unless he does some lip dub. Let's go.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out as the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone, AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the description to learn more about Zencastr.
Louie, I would love to have that second voice coming from my stomach, really.
Speaking of second voice, there's a second coming. Glad I made it through without stuttering on that occasion as well.
Amazing. I would love to have as many talents as Louie's got, like just speaking from his stomach. Yeah, I think there's a special word for that, but I totally forgot because second language.
It's my first language, and I don't know either.
Nah, it has like a special like a magician would come like with a doll.
Oh, you mean ventriloquism?
Ventriloquism, yes. For some reason, I wanted to call it tranquilism, but that's completely different.
That's something else. Yeah,
that's something completely different. You want to tranquilize your coworker, The Office, everyone, with Dwight Schrute. Never mind. Sorry. So, just to wrap it all up, how do you guys? Oh my goodness.
Go on. You were doing well. Keep going.
I know. We're all over the place. We're going from Copenhagen to Polish clubs, from Polish clubs to Darko Chulino, from Darko Chulino to Tranquilizers and Dwight Schrute of The Office. My God. If this is... Are you not entertained? Oh, another movie reference. So, guys, what do you expect from the upcoming week?
With what in particular? Sorry, it's a bit of an open question.
Everything in particular.
Everything.
Liverpool,
what do I think about everything in football? The upcoming week.
Upcoming week: Liverpool, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Tottenham, Man United, Chelsea, all together.
Well, I mean, it will be a nice refresher for the teams without Europe to go into these games. I seriously think. There's little hope for Southampton at this point. Still on track to be the worst Premier League team in history by 2 points. And speaking to the Southampton team earlier, they mentioned the fact that they can't imagine getting anything from these last 11 games, I think now it is. So it will be a difficult one for them. And as for the other teams, I haven't had a look yet. So we're going to have to remind... our listeners of what the matches are this weekend. The pick of the bunch for me, Nottingham Forest against Manchester City, a real battle for third there. It's at Nottingham Forest. It's the 12:30 kickoff, so anything could happen, and it will be the pick of the bunch for me, definitely.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're gonna dismiss us. You're gonna dismiss us like this, Man United Arsenal on Sunday.
Yeah, I am actually. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing.
Oh, goodness.
There's one correct score that's stuck in my head. I don't know why. It's just I have a feeling Tottenham Bournemouth is gonna be 0-1 full time.
Mm.
Do you want to put money on it?
Nah,
put your money where your mouth is.
You know what, Louie? I have to tell you about our predictions and Bournemouth is concerned. When we did the Forecast Friday with Tom, I think it was with Daily West Ham, we predicted the score almost perfectly because we predicted that this game, the FA Cup tie between Bournemouth and Wolverhampton, would go into penalties. And of course, we didn't say who would win those penalty shootout, but we predicted it well. So GSPN is on a very good streak of predicting nice results. So I wouldn't underestimate Victor's prediction there. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Okay. I did a prediction of my own on the Liverpool one. I'll bring it onto air for this one. I think it's going to be 2-0 to Liverpool, and it's going to be a match where we should have scored much more and made harder work of it than it should have been. That's my prediction for Liverpool Southampton. 2-0.
Mo Salah redemption tour? Question mark.
I think so. I mean, do we really have to call it a redemption? Because he still is the best player in the world. He was due a tough match at some point. And, is 3 games, 2 games in a row without a goal really something that we need to be concerned about, especially when it's Mo Salah and he can score at any game, at any moment. So, yeah.
I don't think he's going to play more than 60 minutes. He's not going to play more than 60 minutes. That's my other... Because it's Ramadan for him, that's one thing, and then it's also in between the Champions League games, and it's a game they can afford to play with. So,
And apparently he's
I
not
feel
breaking his fast for these matches, which I think is crazy. But
Yeah.
I mean, at
Wow.
what level am I allowed to? To talk about that as an atheist? So it's his decision. But then again, Muslims hate him for celebrating Christmas as well. Let's not get into that. Let's save that.
Louis, luckily I've got no ammunition here to dish out, so I am out. I'm out of ammo, so I will just leave it at that. With that being said, we have concluded our daily English Premier League episode reviewing the Champions League action. Louis, thank you so much for not putting too much salt into Man United wounds.
Oh
I
no,
really
it's
appreciate
fine.
it.
It's fine. You're the most self-deprecating fan base at the moment, so I think times are bleak. But I am enjoying the Manchester United downfall every single opportunity I get. Don't worry about that.
And we are supposed to be the most annoying fan base. Oh my God, Victor, thank you so much for being super cheerful bloke as always. Thank you.
See you guys next time.
I'd argue Arsenal, but yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us again. Please do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to bring some more fan base to us, because the more you're out there, the more excited we are to make those episodes. Thank you so much. Michał Czarniecki. See you and hear you in the next one.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.